URCD Keys is the best source for genuine Windows 10 and Office Professional product keys that work the first time, every time. Get 20% off normal prices using our discount code BST for Byte Size Tech and the link in the video description below. So the Ryzen 5 5600G, 6-core 12-thread Zen 3 APU is how much?
$239?
$239. For $80 more.
80 bucks. Ooh, the Ryzen 7 5700G for $329. $10 off with the promo code. Very, very long, Dave.
So $319. So basically $320 versus $240. For 80 bucks more, the integrated graphics are a little bit faster on the 5700G. Not massively, but they're a little bit fast, maybe 10% faster. And you get 8 cores instead of 6.
That's true.
If you've got the 80 bucks, do it.
Do it. Do it.
And if you don't, you don't. That's worth the 80 bucks if you can swing it. But I understand that at the $600 price point, I get it. 80 bucks is 80 bucks, and and some people just don't need the extra cores because if you're building this to play GTA 5, GTA 5 is going to run the same on either one. Well, it'll run 10% slower because the integrated graphics are slower, but it's not going to matter.
What about office work? What?
Spend more, get more. If you've got the money, buy as much computer as you can reasonably afford without hurting yourself. Speaking of buying things not to hurt yourself, take a look at this.
Ooh, the Gigabyte 27-inch, 165 hertz, 1080p, 1 millisecond. It is MPRT, 91% DCI-P3, FreeSync Premium. It is $210.
No codes or any other nonsense, just $210.
VA display.
If you are okay to spend an extra $60 or $70, you can get a 27-inch, 165 hertz, 1440p monitor, and there's an argument to be said for that. But I'm including this because we don't talk about 1080p very much. And this is really appropriate for the $600 build that we're discussing.
It is.
Speaking of appropriate,
ooh,
we showed a couple of these last week.
We did.
I do think it is worth showing a couple of them this week.
Ooh.
So let's show some bonus footage, shall we? This is the 5700G. It is a little bit faster in terms of the Vega graphics, the integrated Radeon graphics, than the 5600G, but not tremendously. You can turn one or two details. This is 1080p high detail. You can set a couple of the detail settings to normal. You can make a couple of minor changes, and then, you'll compensate the difference. And if you look at the CPU in the upper right-hand corner, notice we're not even using 50%.
Correct.
So the cores aren't an issue. The 6 cores would be just fine.
Oh, the poor iGPU.
Well, yeah, it's all about the iGPU. But
60, 56, just under 60. Whoa.
For integrated graphics, this isn't bad.
Keep going. Don't stop. Ah.
My poor car is broken.
Cheat code, turtle.
I don't use cheat codes.
It said right there.
I do not use cheat codes.
Turtle. Ooh. I want to see that.
Nah.
Ooh, there's a...
Look at the rain.
I see the rain.
That's pretty for integrated graphics. Don't you think?
Sure, we'll go with that. Oh.
I dented the truck.
That's what that's for.
It's not my truck. I borrowed it. I'll give it back to the owner.
You will.
In mostly one piece.
Mostly one piece.
Round, round, get around. We get around. Round, round, get around. I get around.
What'd be interesting is to pull up something with ray tracing and pretty graphics just to show people what it looks like.
Grand Theft Auto 5 doesn't have ray tracing. However, do you guys want to see Cyberpunk? Because it runs really, really, really well. Here, this is actually the very start of the test. I actually even haven't hit F12 to start benchmarking yet. Now I have. This is 1080p, low detail, 50% render resolution. So this is an effective 540p. It controls horribly, it plays horribly, and it looks horrible. You can't play. Cyberpunk is not a... I just did this because everybody's going to say, does it play Crysis? Does it play Cyberpunk? I mean, Cyberpunk is the Crysis of... I can't freaking even drive.
Although it's using awful. A lot more of the CPU.
Look at the frame rate. Look at the frame time graph.
Yeah, I see
it's
it.
This was so uncontrollable because I'd press the keys to...
blindfolded?
No, I was looking at the screen. The problem is you press the key and there's a noticeable delay before the vehicle moves.
Yeah, I see that.
It's just awful.
Too many Tim Tams. Tim Tam drunk. Oh my gosh, you missed it.
This was very hard to play.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
What are you doing?
Checking out the live stream.
Are you going to come say good day?
Yep.
Come on, say good day.
I've got something cool that...
Minecraft?
320 frames a second on a 5700G. Look at that. 6%.
I came in at just the right time.
You did.
Needless to say, this runs very well on this APU.
Whoa.
I'm not very good at this game. I need to have many deals here play this, but, you know.
Teach you.
Uh-huh.
Are you teachable?
Am I teachable? I'm sinking! Help! Needless to say, the performance is great. I mean, you know, it's... You don't need to see more of that to know.
Not even 360 frames a second.
Overwatch.
Overwatch, yeah.
1080p, high detail.
Wow.
100% render resolution. And I did check, because you have to check that, because the render resolution wants to auto-adjust. And yes, I did close the game and reopen it once I did the resolution change. It's about 60 frames per second at 1080p high detail. How are my elite diva skills?
I was going to say Diva 1, bad guy 0.
I was trying to
Are you even trying?
I was trying to remember her name. I thought it was Dora.
Dora the Explorer.
It's Diva.
I'm the map. I'm the map. Are you Boots? That would make me Boots.
I didn't do too bad. Oh.
Stunned.
I got my shield up, though.
You did.
Oh, escape.
Run away, run away. I haven't played this game in like forever.
Run, Forrest, run.
And I know I'm supposed to be the tank, and I'm probably not sitting far enough up front. I'm not a very good... I try. I'm not the best at this. But you guys see the performance. So, I mean, there absolutely are plenty of games that are totally playable. Oh, here's a fun one. I didn't show this the other day.
StarWars The Old Republic. Ooh, look at that. 60 frames a second.
This is 1080p high.
Wow.
Now, you see the grass. If you turn the grass down on a few other things, it does run better. But I just sort of wanted to show what it was like. If you just play this in solo mode against the enemies in the world, then 1080p high is completely playable on a APU. No graphics card required.
There's no graphics card in this computer that he's doing this on.
Oh, wow. I know what this means.
Oh, you do? Oh.
I am...
Do you want me to Mommy explain it to you?
Do you want me to Daddy explain it to you?
No. Yes?
It's fine. It works.
You should ask Matt.
I'll tell you this, though. It's smooth, and it was controllable. I didn't have any problem playing it. I actually played 15 minutes and 55 seconds is how long I played. Or at least that's how long I recorded. What?
I only played for 15 minutes.
See? The video.
I have to do this for science. Honey, you've been there for 6 hours. No, I haven't.
Hush. Oh. This did not play as well as I thought it would. This played way worse than I expected it to. This is Xcom 2. And this is... Minimum detail. This is 1080p minimum detail, and this ran way worse than I thought. I thought XCOM 2 would run pretty well on this.
Yeah, but you've got like 200 and gazillion
No,
mods.
this is stock.
That's stock?
No, this is stock configuration.
That's stock?
Yeah.
And it
No
ran
mods.
No mods?
It was...
How did you play without your mods?
That's not funny.
Yes, it is.
Because I'm benchmarking it the way normal people would experience it. So I do it properly.
Just imagine if you had all your mods on there.
Well, then it would be garbage. It already was garbage. This was actually really bad. The scroll speed around the menu, this was awful. I was very disappointed in the performance of this. Although that was a pretty cool shot right there. Yeah, it really was that. It's you can see the choppiness and the jumping. You know another one that was really disappointing?
What?
City Skylines. I kind of thought this would run better.
Holy crap, only 26 frames a second?
This was awful.
Wow, look at the time frame graph.
And this is what the detail turned down too.
It's on low?
Yeah. Yeah, this was... I was very disappointed in this.
Wow.
And you can see the fuzziness. You can see the
Yeah,
buildings that
yeah.
aren't focused.
I can.
Now, it's a busy city, to be sure. Love you, buddy.
We're going to be done here soon.
Okay.
Okay.
So what do you think, honey?
I don't like that.
No.
It even doesn't look right.
No. Now, if we come further along...
Oh!
Yeah,
That's terrible.
It really is terrible.
That looks like a pixel thing from...
I was very disappointed in City Skylines. Because this game's several years... This game's 6 years old? 2014, 2015? Now, there's a lot of expansions that have come out, obviously, and this is a fairly big city. That's nighttime. It's pretty, sort of, from this distance. 20 frames a second.
20 frames a second.
I would not want to play this game at all. I really...
Yeah, it's using all the VRAM. Look at that, 2 gigs of VRAM.
No.
It's hogging the VRAM there. Dang.
Look at the main system RAM usage. 25 gigs of RAM. Because here's the thing. I know you guys are looking... You say the 2 gigs of VRAM. There is no VRAM. 2 gigs is set aside dedicated for it, but it's just the DDR4 RAM of the system. It doesn't make any difference. It just overflows into the main system RAM, which is why we're using 25 gigs of RAM, because it's just using more of that. It doesn't really matter what you set your VRAM to, because it's just using your main system RAM. And as you can see here, oh, by the way, 16 gigs is plenty.
I don't think so.
No.
All right, 9 minutes. What else do you want to say to these lovely people? You want to answer these super chats?
I will leave this running while we chat. Defense Grid 2, way too much fun. Defense Grid 1 is worth playing first. If you don't own these games and you like tower defense games, go buy both of them. They are awesome. Make sure you play Defense Grid 1 before you play Defense Grid 2. It is worth it. There's a continuous story to it. It is the voice dialogue of the characters in the game it's got a real story. It's awesome. Anyway, I'll leave this running while we answer the last super chats.
Brian, thank you. He wants to know, what G-Sync monitor do you recommend?
As much as you can afford to buy, monitors are very personal. What size, what resolution, what's your budget? That is entirely too generic of a question.
That's like saying, what are the best shoes that are out there?
Yeah, there's just no way to answer that question.
Without more info. But thank you for the support, Brian. StarLord! Oi, thanks for the Aussie Tim Tams, mate. He says, will my 5900X and my RX6800XT Sapphire Nitro run newer AAA games around 100 frames a second on a 3440 by 1440p curved 34-inch monitor? So basically an ultra wide.
It will not run Cyberpunk at those settings unless you turn ray tracing off and the detail down to high, but it would probably do Cyberpunk at 100 frames a second if you turn the details down. It will run most games at 100 frames per second. But you know, Battlefield 2042, it won't run that at 100 unless you turn the details way down.
So yes, it will. You just have to mess around with the resolution, the detail settings.
Maybe set 75 to 80% render resolutions on a bunch of games. You have a great graphics card. You have a great monitor.
Oh, he meant to say high detail. No,
it depends on the game.
it does.
Here's the thing. 34-inch ultra-wides, 38-inch ultra-wides, you're just buying the best video card that comes out for the next X number of years. Whenever the 7000 series Radeon comes out or the 40 series comes out, buy it. When the 550 series and the 8000 series comes out, buy it. You're just always going to be, if you want to play, and I'm using your words here, newer AAA games at 100 frames per second on a 1440p ultra-wide, which is 50% more pixels than standard 1440p. It's 5 million pixels versus 3.6 on a standard 1440p. Makes a huge difference. So it's a great monitor, but I cannot overemphasize this enough to everybody watching. You are more or less committing yourself to just always upgrading your video card. As an example, RTX 2080 Ti. Great video card, expensive, but great video card in its day. Cyberpunk 2077, standard 1440p, 60 frames per second. 1440p ultra-wide, 45.
At
Medium detail.
at medium.
Medium.
Oh.
Now that's with ray tracing on. If you turn off ray tracing,
tracing.
it'll get up to about 70 frames per second at 1440p.
That's not 100.
Ray tracing off, high detail, 70 frames per second, 2080 Ti. Now, obviously, his 6800 is faster than the 2080 Ti. Mm-hmm. But when the next game comes out, and the next game comes out, upgrade city. Carry on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky.
Hopefully that answers your question, Starlord. Denvera, thank you. He says, you might have added an extra 15% to Cyberpunk had you run the RAM at 4,000. Sarcasm. But true, 15% more than crap is still crap.
I tested Cyberpunk at each of the different RAM settings. I did 3200 CL16.
Yeah, he
I
did,
did
actually.
3600 CL16. I did 3600 CL18, and the difference was basically nothing. But I understand you're being sarcastic. I did test it. It doesn't make a lick of difference. The AP was completely inappropriate for that game. Carry on.
RVB, thank you. He said, with DDR5 RAM, do you think this will help APUs run better?
It will 3 years from now, when APUs can use DDR5 8400 CL35, not 4800 CL40. In other words, DDR5 has to go through several cycles of improvement. We didn't have 3200 CL16 and 3600 CL18 6 years ago when DDR4 launched. We had 2133 and 2400.
Correct.
3 years from now, when DDR4 is commonly available at double the current launch speeds. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Eventually, yes. But of course, keep in mind, games will get more complex.
They will.
Dedicated video cards will get even better. Mm-hmm. So yes, APUs will get better, but the world will march on.
It will, so kind of still puts you at the same point.
Was that the last one?
That was the last one. Thank you guys for the support. We appreciate it.
Let me close that.
2.5 minutes. What else do you want to say?
We covered that. Oh!
Ooh.
Speaking of dedicated video cards, who here would like to buy a dedicated video card directly from Newegg outside of the shuffle at a modestly sort of almost kind of reasonable price?
Oh my gosh. We have got a MSI Radeon RX6700XT 12 gig for $880. So
this is about the going rate of these cards. And this is a nice card that will fit into most machines, including the 600R build that we're showing here. If you are inclined to put this video card into the 600R build, I have a couple of suggestions. First of all, spend the $20 and get the crucial P5 linked in the video description. Do not buy that Kingston drive I have down there. That is there strictly to hit the $600 price point. Nobody should buy that drive. You should all be buying the P5 for 20 bucks more. Spend the $80 and get the Ryzen 7 5700G instead of the 5600G. If you're going to spend $880 on your video card, spend another $80 and get 8 cores. That's just sensible. And then, frankly, you really are going to want 32 gigs of RAM. It's $115 versus $55, which is about double the price. But again, for an extra 60 bucks, you're spending $680 on your video card. I mean, here's where it's like, it's not just $600 plus the video card. Now it's $800 for the computer plus the video card. But that extra money, you are not going to get your money's worth out of this unless you spend that extra money. I mean, just to pull up a calculator. So we're realistically at 610 with this budget linked down below. It's not quite 600. So sue me. Plus 20 bucks for the SSD, plus 80 bucks for the 5700G. You know what? I would honestly spend an extra, say, 30 bucks and buy a better motherboard, but that's me. You're going to need a cooler. You're going to need a better cooler.
Yeah.
25 bucks for a Deepcool GameX 400 would be plenty. You know, the case is fine if you want a fractal design. I would, because I like the fractal design, but you could leave the case. The power supply's fine.
Need a fan.
You know what? Add 20 bucks for a fan.
800 bucks.
Yeah, $800. So $800 plus $880 puts you at $1,665. Do you know what the problem with this entire process is? That buys you a really nice pre-built.
It does.
In fact, let me come over to...
Where is it?
Well, this isn't the machine that I had.
Nope.
I'm actually going to put this up full screen to make it easier to see. In stock. Sold by Newegg. With 30 series or 6000 series cards. Sort by... If the pop-ups keep coming down. Let's say... You know what? Let's take the 3060... Let's take those off. And let's take those off. Just to do comparable prices. And we don't want any open box systems. The sorting system here really is nice. We're only looking at new stuff. It's not fair to compare new to used. So Ryzen 7 3700X RTX 3070, 16 gigs of RAM, terabyte NVMe for $1,700.
18.
$1,800, excuse me. 18, thank you. It's a little bit more. i7 10700F. Small SSD, though.
Mm-hmm.
Man, a lot of stuff is out of stock at the moment. Usually there's something a little bit cheaper than this.
No.
Something in the $1,600, $1,700 range.
Not at the moment.
What if you go higher than this? I mean, let's just say we want to do something impressive. Nah, that gets expensive.
$2,500.
Well, the reason I pulled that up is because $1,665, but of course, no keyboard, no mouse, no Windows install, and you have to build it, which some people obviously like to do. The minute you're starting to spend nearly $1,700 on your computer, then you have to ask yourself, do you really still want the 700-watt non-modular power supply, or do you spend the 120 and buy the 850-watt fully modular better?
Well, then you're going...
It just is a one upgrade after another. And now you might as well get a Gen 4 NVMe instead of a Gen 3 for, $30 more. It's not that much more. They're pretty reasonable these days. $30, $30, $20, $20. Now we want a $150 board. Now we might as well get the 5800X. Now we might as well get better cooler. Hey, honey, we just ended up at a $5,000 computer.
$600, $5,000.
It's wild how that happens. But...
Yeah, rabbit hole.
It just never ends. Let me give you guys a different option.
we have got the i5 11400F, so 6 cores, 12 threads. It's got the RTX 3060, 16 gigs of DDR4 3000 with a 512 M.2 NVMe for $1,200.
This is exactly double the price of the $600 machine, but it does come with a keyboard and mouse. It comes with Windows 10 pre-installed. Now, it's a 600 watt 80 plus gold, which is not as desirable. The motherboard's also probably not as good. However, mesh front case, RGB, which is nice, tempered glass, which is nice. It's got, honestly, it's got a perfectly serviceable cooler for that CPU. At least it's not the Intel stock cooler. It's got a slightly upgraded cooler, which is fine. And the rest of it is pretty basic, but it certainly does the job. RTX 3060s are absolutely worth $600. They just are. So you're getting what you pay for. In a machine that just shows up at your door ready to rock. And while a RTX 3060 is not as fast as a 6700 XT, this is also not $1,700. Putting a 6700 XT makes the other machine $1,700.
Correct.
What do you want? However, this right here is an awesome 1080p gaming machine.
Yes, it is.
And I know this is going to sound wild, but Cyberpunk 2077 will actually run reasonably well on this at 1080p. Not with ray tracing. The 3060 doesn't have ray tracing performance, not in Cyberpunk. But 1080p, high detail, ray tracing off, totally playable.
Will you get 60?
I have not tested it, but I would expect you would. Ray tracing off.
Oh, ray tracing.
Ray tracing off.
That's the trick.
You might get it with ray tracing at medium with DLSS to performance, but then it'll look like muddled garbage. If you can turn ray tracing off and turn DLSS off, see, at 1080p, you don't have the resolution to play with. At 1440p with DLSS at quality, it's not so bad. But DLSS lowers your actual resolution internally, and so 1080p, well, you have nothing left to give.
Nope, you don't.
URCD Keys is the best source for genuine Windows 10 and Office Professional product keys that work the first time, every time. Get 20% off normal prices using our discount code BST for Byte Size Tech and the link in the video description below. $15 gets you a Windows 10 Professional OEM key that is a real product key, activates directly with Microsoft, use it forever as it links to your Microsoft account and it works through reinstalls. Get a full copy of Office 2019 Professional Plus for about $50 that redeems at setup.office.com using your Microsoft account. It also works forever through reinstalls. We have been using URCD keys for almost 3 years now and recommend you do so as well.